Complicated. So, what you guys need to do is go to your online textbook and go to page 817. I hate it.
Hate's a strong word.
I severely dislike. Is that better, Ryan?
Very long. Oh, my mom always tells me that. Well, she used to tell me that, so I'm that.
That's because you probably would say, I hate my little brother or whatever. And then she'd be like, no, you don't.
I hate my sister. And like, she's like, yeah. But like, she...
So your module says, read page 817, poetic form ballad and reading skill understand dialect, okay? So let's talk about the ballad form. Is everyone hearing your textbook? Okay. Follow along as I read. The earliest ballads were stories told in song using the voice and language of everyday people. They were composed orally, and singers often added or changed details to make the songs meaningful for their audience. These early ballads, typical of the medieval period, are known as folk ballads. Okay? So what that's talking about is that they were songs that were written in everyday language. So dialect is going to be used a lot in these, right? So if it's written in the South, it's going to have a Southern dialect. Anyone ever read anything by Mark Twain? Okay, in 8th grade probably. You probably don't understand what the heck he was saying unless you read it out loud. Okay, because a lot of the times he would use dialect of the people he was talking about. Like a work of fiction, a ballad has character, setting, and dialogue. Like a song, it uses repetition and has regular rhyme and meter. A traditional ballad, such as Lord Randall, the written version of an older folk ballad, has these characteristics. It consists of 4-line stanzas with a simple rhyme scheme and narrates a single tragic incident through dialogue, okay? So there's different types of ballads. Hi, Tessa. One of them is the traditional, right? And that's the characteristic. So just like the form of the sonnet, there's a form of a ballad. That's the traditional ballad. Not all are like that. A ballad's rhyme scheme may be very loose or seem inconsistent. A loose rhyme scheme gave the singer more freedom to improvise lyrics. And because pronunciations change over time, words that once rhymed may no longer sound alike, like brain and again. It was once pronounced similarly. As you read ballad and midwinter blues, consider how these tones expand the traditional ballad form. Okay? So the ballads we are going to read today do not have that consistent 4-line stanza. But what do ballads have? What did we just learn? What does a ballad have? Right?
A slow melody.
A slow melody, okay.
Like, so when you're talking about it would be like super gospel, like a rap, it would be more like mostly.
It has a consistent rhythm and meter, yes. Okay. What else did this talk about, Justin?
Tragic incident.
That's the traditional form. They don't always have that. It has been expanded over time. Kiara?
Some form of rhyme scheme.
Some form of rhyme scheme, okay. How is it like is it like a narrative? Does it have, Aiden, a setting, characters? Does it have that stuff? Yes. It almost is like a story. It's just very short. The other thing it talked about up here is that they had the language of everyday people. Okay? So, almost like a narrative, language of everyday people, has a consistent rhyme scheme. Alright? We good? Okay. So then you need to read reading skill, understand dialect. So, follow along. People who inhabit a particular region or who belong to a particular social or ethnic group may speak in dialect, a variation of a language. Okay, so dialects. Something as simple as like Valley Girl, right? That's a dialect. Okay, when people draw out their words really long, sometimes I deal with it a little bit. Okay, or if you talk about someone from the South, they're going to have a specific Southern dialect. When my husband was in North Carolina going to school, he was in like the deep woods, and I remember the first time I went there, I couldn't understand the people. Like their Southern accent was like they would be sounding like they had marbles in their mouth when they were talking, and I would look at Matt and he would have to like translate for me. It was incredible. Okay, and then after a while you pick it up. That's dialect. Whenever someone has a specific regional almost accent, okay, or if you go to Jamaica, what is the dialect like? You can clearly imagine the Jamaican accent, right? That's dialect, okay? Dialect often provides clues about a poem's setting, as in Lord Randall, which uses an 18th century Scottish dialect. It's so hard to read that we are not reading that one. It's like the dialect is so strong that you guys would be like, what is happening? It can also reveal information about the speaker's identity, such as ethnicity and social class, as in Midwinter Blues, which we are going to analyze. As you read Lord Randall report on the graphic... Oh, we don't need that. Okay? So, you now are going to read Midwinter Blues on page 822. So go ahead and go to 822. Oh my god. Okay. So go ahead and read this in your head independently. Read it quietly on your own. Let's read out loud so you guys can hear the dialect. Okay? Midwinter Blues by Langston Hughes. Did that name ring a bell at all? No. Yesterday, he was the poet that I quoted, I Am the Darker Brother. Remember that poem we talked about? We talked about rhythm, how it got really choppy at the last 3 lines. Same author. Okay? Ready? Follow along. In the middle of the winter, snow all over the ground. In the middle of the winter, snow all over the ground. 'Twas the night before Christmas, my good man turned me down. Don't knows I'd mind his goin', but he left me when the coal was low. Don't knows I'd mind his goin', but he left when the coal was low. Now if a man loves a woman, that ain't no time to go. He told me that he loved me, but he must have been tellin' a lie. He told me that he loved me, he must have been tellin' a lie. But he's the only man I'll love till the day I die. I'm gonna buy me a rosebud and plant it at my back door. Buy me a rosebud, plant it at my back door. So when I'm dead, they won't need no flowers from the store. Okay? So, do you guys understand what's happening here? What do you guys think is going on? Justin? Her husband left and she's depressed, right? And what else is she talking about when she's talking about being depressed? Can she make it out alive on her own? Okay. What else is going on here? What else did you guys pick up? Ryan?
Maybe if she's like thinking about like ending it all when she says like I did that up on my back door, like give me a little bit of hope.
Oh.
Like maybe give me like a little bit of escape.
Okay. And she says, she does the repetition, right? He told me that he loved me, but he must have been telling a lie, but he's the only man I'll love till the day I die. What do we find out about her there?
She won't date anyone.
Okay, what else? Think deeper. What is she saying? He left, but what?
She still loves him.
She still loves him. Okay? So even though he's gone and left her in the cold without any sort of warmth, she still loves him, and he's only going to be the one that he ever loves. Okay? So, what do you guys think the dialect is? Any idea? Let me read one part again, okay? In the middle of the winter, snow all over the ground. 'Twas the night before Christmas, my good man turned me down. Don't knows I'd mind his goin'. Southern? Okay, definitely Southern. Alright, good start. So, what I want you guys to do is click the Midwinter Blues discussion board. So this says, in Midwinter Blues, what is the speaker's situation? After summarizing the situation, examine the dialect use in the poem. Based on the dialect, what do you know about the speaker? Use textual evidence in your response to support your answer. Okay, so this is pretty loaded. So number one, you need to summarize the situation. Okay, so summarize what is going on in this poem. Number two, you need to examine the dialect. Okay, so explain what the dialect is. Okay. Three, based on the dialect, what do you know about the speaker? Okay. So based on how this speaker, she, the woman here, okay, how she speaks, what can you infer about her? Her education, her social status, okay? Think about these things. Use textual evidence in your response to support your answer. That means if you say her dialect is blah, 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 give me a quote that says, this piece shows me that she might be uneducated or highly educated or a woman in this situation, okay? You're inferring based on the dialect. Okay, go and do that. You need 100 words, and then respond. Okay, just stop what you're doing really quick and look at the board so I can explain this assignment, and you can go back to work in your discussion board if necessary. So, eyeballs, Erica, Grant, Nate. Okay. So, basically, what you're going to be doing is you're going to find an example of a ballad in the real world. Okay? So you're going to analyze a song of your choice. Now that you have experience with ballads, can you find one in the real world? Select a song of your choice that you believe fits the ballad genre. Yes, there are ballads in music today. We already talked about that. Okay? So what is your song choice? And explain why does this fit into the ballad genre? And then you need to rewrite the song as best as you can into traditional ballad form. Okay? What? So you have to try to rewrite the content into a ballad. Does that make sense?
So, like, you're writing your own song from life.
Yes. Based off the content and what's happening, can you summarize that into a ballad in some way, okay? Remember, if you go back to your, textbook, when it describes the traditional ballad form, it says that it has the same characteristics, so it will be composed orally. It uses the language of everyday people. But it consists of 4-line stanzas with a simple rhyme scheme, and it narrates a single tragic incident through dialogue, okay? So what you're going to try to do is take this incident and make it just a description through dialogue, okay? So just like the way that this incident in Midwinter Blues, right, her husband has left her, and it's changed into this example of dialogue to explain the situation, you're going to do the same thing, okay? If you want to make it as long as Midwinter Blues, that use about 4-line stanzas. If you choose a super long song, you can make it longer than 4 of them. You could do like, there's no minimum or maximum number of stanzas. Okay?
And does it have to be like a ballad song, or can it be any song?
Your job is to try to identify a ballad, okay? So based on what we talked about, told in song using the voice and language of everyday people, it has character, setting, and dialogue, uses repetition and a rhyme scheme. So you're going to try to identify that, right? Because here, once you identify it, you're explaining why this song fits into the ballad genre. So if you're like, because it has a cool melody, well, that's not what a ballad is. Okay? A ballad's almost like a narrative told in a poetic form. Yes?
So is Wrecking Ball the Miley Cyrus?
I don't want you to use Wrecking Ball because I just gave you that one. Okay?
Sadowski.
So sorry. Okay? Yes?
Okay, so the song I picked, I know quite a bit about the band.
Okay.
So I know more about what's going on with the singer in the
That's
song.
fine.
So I know like tunes.
Yeah, you make that, when you rewrite that, make it super cool, okay? So totally use background
Well, would
information.
it work since I know like what's going on with the issues with not only what is describing the song, but with the singer himself?
Yeah.
Song.
Yeah.